It's a rough day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Tarkir Dragonstorm has just been unleashed on the world, leading to a massive amount of disappointment and anger. Wizards of the Coast has really screwed up with this set. There's also an issue with the new Deadpool secret lair we need to talk about, and a few other news items to discuss as well.
Magic. History.
I'm an old wizard!
The Magic Historian.
My bones hurt. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another gigantic installment of Mega Magic News. This is the Tarkir Dragonstorm Disaster Edition. Wizards of the Coast keeps managing to outdo themselves, and today we have a real doozy. Now, it's not going to be 100% bad news. I do have a little bit of bad news about the Deadpool secret lair, but we've got a little bit of fun news on the other side of that too. So, specifically in the United States. So for anybody who wanted to get their cards PSA graded, this is obviously a big frustration, and understandably so, right? Moving on, the next item on the list is talking about the Deadpool secret lair situation. Now, you may not know this, but Wizards of the Coast has decided to open up secret lairs for local game stores, which obviously seems like a nice move, saying, hey, we're going to let you sell some of this product. And on the surface, it does seem to be 100% good times. Wait a minute, so the secret lair sells out, there's still going to be some available at the game store. Even if it doesn't sell out, there are certain people who say, look, I'm never buying secret lairs because I'm only able to get them online. They undercut the LGSs and ultimately leave my favorite place out in the cold. And I get that mentality because I too am somebody who strongly believes in supporting your local game store. I've been going to the same store for over 30 years now, which when I say it out loud makes me feel like a dinosaur. I played somebody at the pre-release today who said, hey, I was born in 2004, and I just started to shudder as my bones turned to dust. I realize I'm a mummy who's been roaming the earth for 1,000 years. Ultimately, wow, did I feel super old in that moment. But regardless, I do love supporting the LGS. So the people who are on board with that, good on you. Speaking to LGS owners, the situation goes like this. Apparently, it would be cheaper for them to essentially just order the secret lairs themselves directly from Wizards through the secret lair sale rather than through the distributor. So when this was initially announced, people didn't know it was going to be the Deadpool secret lair. And by that, I mean LGSs didn't know it was going to be the Deadpool secret lair. So they put in an order for a number of them just going, I don't know what this mystery secret lair is going to be. They just knew it would be something Marvel related. And they said, okay, signed up for however many copies. I've had store owners tell me after they saw the prices, they were going to be charged by the distributors for this stuff. They turned around and went, okay, so I really just kind of want to cancel my orders altogether and not deal with this because we can't compete on any level. Wizards of the Coast isn't giving us the ability to sell this at the same level. And what happens is, the same thing has happened in the past with products that Wizards of the Coast release, where you go into the game store, you see Modern Horizons 3, and you go, why is it so much more expensive than this other product? Not knowing that Wizards sets the price for the distributors set the price for the local game store. So whatever Wizards sets the tune to dance to, that's what everybody has to do the waltz to. And this is a sadness waltz. So game store owners are looking at a situation where they're going to be looked at as if they're gouging people for these secret lairs, when ultimately they have no control over this, and Wizards of the Coast has given with one hand and taken away with the other, which has led to mass frustration. And again, understandably so. But the biggest issue of the day is the massive problems with Tarkir, okay? Actually, you know what? I want to talk about the story stuff with Tarkir after we go through these quality issues, because it really does need to be talked about how badly they have bungled the story here. If you went to the Tarkir pre-release, if you've been looking at spoilers and didn't know that Nicol Bolas has been freed and is now roaming the multiverse, you might be kind of surprised. Wait a minute, Nicol Bolas was the culmination of this story? Why am I not seeing seeing that represented on the cards. Why is Nicol Bolas not in the set? But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's talk about the quality stuff first, and then we can all have a chuckle at what Wizards has done with the Tarkir story. Now, we know that Wizards of the Coast quality has headed downwards. It's had some upticks, it's had some downward shifts. One of the low points was around the release of the first Ixalan set. That's when there was a change in management at Wizards. They were trying to extract a ton of money, and I specifically remember it being nightmarishly bad. Well, this might actually be worse. The amount of errors that are floating around. We had a heads up on this situation when about 2 days, no, actually it was 3 days ago now, a store in Japan put out an announcement saying, okay guys, look, here's the deal. We've opened up a bunch of product to get ready to sell our singles. And it turns out that there are a ton of cards with massive inking issues, missing ink and color issues, and there are so many of these errors, there's nothing we can do about it. It's affecting basically 50% of what we're dealing with, and we are going to consider this to be the actual printing specification. So we're not really considering these errors in terms of normally we would take these cards out of circulation, but the sheer amount of garbage cards that Wizards has made, and I'm paraphrasing here, but the sheer amount of garbage cards that Wizards of the Coast has made means that these are the regular specifications for the set, and this is what we will be selling. Sorry. How sad is that? Local game stores coming out and being like, okay guys, look, they made it all garbage and we can't just put it to the side because it's so much of the stuff we have. And we're not just talking commons, we're talking rares, we're talking mythic rares. You know what? Take a look at this. Take a look at this Ugin. This is the most desirable card in the entire set. Look at the ink bleed on this. Imagine you crack this and you just go, really? This is what you're doing with your cards. Now, if this was an ultra rare situation where, okay, one guy got this, no big deal. But this is hitting so many of the mythics and so many of the rares in the set. So you have a situation where you have a good chance of getting hose bagged like this. Now, there will be people coming out of the woodwork saying, well, my experience was fine. Well, good for you. I have a big, long laundry list of different print errors that we have from this set specifically. So the next thing I want to show you is an insane color removal, color bleed, whatever you want to call it. Take a look at this. This error is massively prevalent as well, to the point where, guess what happened at the pre-release I was at? Now, you might not be able to see it that well in this picture of a very disgruntled, but also very handsome Magic player. But trust me, the cards that this gorgeous gentleman is holding are absolutely abysmal in quality. So, I went through a massive list of people complaining about all kinds of different issues. Here is a sampling. We have obviously the ink bleeds. We have the decolorations, white patches. We have cards that have been pinkified. There are crimps, and there are even cards with insects smashed into them. That's the level that we're operating at now. Wizards of the Coast obviously just doesn't care about card quality anymore. They keep cranking the prices ever upwards, which is bonkers, and the quality keeps getting worse. And it's not just a North American thing anymore. It used to be a time where, okay, the stuff they're making in the US is garbage printing, but guess what? Japanese cards are genuinely still solid. Well, they have drifted ever downwards as Wizards essentially tries to cut every corner humanly possible to extract as much money from us. And this does not bode well for other sets. I mean, think about it. Final Fantasy is coming within the next, 2 months? We got like 7 weeks between each pre-release now. Wizards of the Coast is running at a breakneck pace, making 1 million products now. It's pretty much impossible to keep up. And it would be one thing if the stuff they were designing was solid. I will say this at least, Tarkir is a fun set to play. So the card quality might be a nightmare. The story might be pure garbage, but at least the cards are fun to play with. That's the one thing. If they mess that up, then obviously the whole house of cards is going to come tumbling down. But you've got Final Fantasy coming. They're going to want us to pay 30% more. If you think Magic is expensive now for Standard, Give it 2 months and you'll be begging for these prices. And this is the quality that Wizards is okay with sending out to us. There's no way on earth that they did not know these cards were this bad, considering how prevalent the issue is. And the crazy thing is, there are also packs, I even forgot to mention this there are packs that are coming without rares. I went and read a thread about this, and somebody chimed in the post going, I contacted Wizards of the Coast, and I told them I got packs without rares, and customer service told me, oh, they're just randomized packs of cards, so you're not guaranteed a rare anyways, and we're not going to do anything for you. And it blew my mind. I've literally already heard of people working for Wizards, when you send them pictures of cards that have roller lines, scratches, all these kinds of errors, they go, we consider that our standard quality. We will not be issuing replacements. So I believe there's some level of leeway depending on the customer service agent you're dealing with, but ultimately, Wizards of the Coast has massively dropped the ball. This is our last actual proper in-universe Magic set of the year. Yeah, we're going to get Edge of Eternities, but when we get that, it's not going to feel like Magic, boys. Get ready for spaceships, get ready for planets, get ready for aliens with lasers, get ready for probably stuff like spaceports, space stations, whatever you want to call it. All that kind of stuff is going to be coming. It is not going to feel like traditional Magic the Gathering. Tarkir was the last chance for romance when it comes to the genuine, proper, old school Magic IP, and they have hosed us so hard. And this is a bad look, because guess what? Pre-release numbers are heading downwards. I went to multiple pre-releases this weekend, and the attendance is lower than usual. Wizards' increased cost and other choices are taking a genuine toll on this game. So when you go and you pay these premium prices, because the stuff keeps getting more expensive, and you get this poor quality, it leaves a very bad taste in your mouth. So ultimately, I believe this has at least somewhat to do with Wizards' insane pace for product releases. Nobody can keep up with this stuff. We've seen they've got a billion different secret layers they're trying to do at the same time that are ultimately getting dropped out into the Chaos Vault because they're not considered winners, and Wizards made too many of these things. You also have the fact that they have cut the number of people working at Hasbro. So there's fewer people working on these products overall. But Wizards of the Coast prints this stuff way in advance. And this might sound crazy to you, but once upon a time, many, many moons ago, in the long, long ago, Wizards of the Coast printed a card set where the quality was so poor that they looked at it and they said, burn it. Burn the whole set. We can't release this to the people because this is an embarrassment as a product. But ever since Chris C. has taken over, first of all, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, the card quality has not been a priority. It doesn't cost much more money to print cards at a better quality standard. It would probably cost them about a penny more a booster pack at most, but they want to aggregate up those pennies and they want to hand the money off to the shareholders, because at the end of the day, we're not Wizards of the Coast genuine customers. We are a walking bag of money with legs that they can fist as much as they want to yank out all these dollars and hand them over to the shareholders, because at this point, they've completely lost their minds. And I mean, even if you look back to things like Magic 30, which in the rear view now was 2 or 3 years ago, even when they were selling $250 booster packs that you had to buy 4 of at a time in a box, they did not bother fixing the quality. It's enraging to me, honestly. Like, when it comes to curved foils, I can forgive that when everything is all right in terms of all the other issues. But guess what? I wanted to collect a complete set of regular Brothers War and a complete set of foil Brothers War. And I wanted to do it by opening booster packs, which obviously is a great deal for Wizards as I'm cracking packs, hunting for what I want. But the edges of the foils were so nightmarishly bad that you could see them, even sleeved in a binder. You could see them from outer space, the damage to the card. So I just said, you know what? I'm not collecting this. I'm not rewarding them. And more people are just going to turn around and go, why would I pay this? The amount of posts, everybody screaming proxies from high heavens, I've never seen so much advocating for it, with the exception of Magic 30, where Wizards of the Coast literally basically endorsed proxying full on, and that blew up in their face in a hilarious fashion, which they deserve. So ultimately, The card quality on this set is nightmarishly bad. Be aware of that. And this is going to have a knock-on effect where some people are just like, yo, I'm done buying Magic cards. I've already seen people saying that. So Wizards really needs to get their act together. So now, for a bit of hilarity, let's talk about the Magic the Gathering story for Tarkir, because it is both boring and brain-damaged nonsense. Ultimately, what they've done with it is so crazy. If you don't already know, I have a Magic the Gathering lore channel where I cover all the new stories that are coming out. Now, I don't basically go word for word with what Wizards has done. I read through their stories, and then I make a video based on the most salient points of the story. The core aspects of the story are what I cover. So, for example, Wizards of the Coast will make an article. It's basically an article about the story, and then they'll release a 30-minute audiobook version where somebody's reading that out, which they don't really edit. There's multiple errors in them, but let's put that aside. So 30 minutes is how long their version is to read it out. I go through that story, right, the same installment, and my version turns into 4 minutes because there's nothing going on in the story. And for the first time ever, because I've done this with a ton of other stories, but for the first time ever, I had people accusing me on my 4-minute videos, 30 minutes to 4 minutes. I had people accusing me on my 4-minute videos of stretching the story out. That's how ridiculous it is. That's how little is going on. So the story basically goes, every installment, you have Narset running around going, oh no, the Dragonstorms! The Dragonstorms are the worst thing that's ever happened. The Dragonstorms are a massive threat to the multiverse. The Dragonstorms, the Dragonstorms, the Dragonstorms. Installment after installment after installment after installment. The Dragonstorms, the Dragonstorms, the Dragonstorms, the Dragonstorms. So obviously, the Dragonstorms are really important. This is the Dragonstorm arc. We've seen previous stories like Bloomborough have a dragon come through the Dragonstorm and terrorize it. So obviously, these Dragonstorms are a big deal. And the end of the story must end up with resolving them, right? It definitely isn't going to be a situation where they end up going to Nicol Bolas's meditation realm, and then Jace grabs the gem from between Nicol Bolas's horns, and then they go, oh, this place is actually a hub to all the multiverse. Oh no, it's disintegrating. What are we gonna do? Oh no, Jace is disintegrated. Everybody run out the door. And then they run out the door while Sarkhan's going, I control all the dragons, and the only thing that can stop me is that building. All my dragons attack that building. I wish I was making this up, but that's what happens. That's what happens in the story. And then they just go, Nicol Bolas is free. Nicol Bolas is free. Ugin shows up and he's like, I tried to stop him, bro, but I couldn't, and it sucks. And it's just Nicol Bolas is free. And there is no mention of the Dragonstorms at all being resolved. None. None. It's all about the Dragonstorms. And just at the end, they go, Nicol Bolas is free. You should be excited about that. Isn't that cool? Isn't that crazy? Also, Jace is out in outer space now, reassembling or something. Okay, bye. And that's how the story went. And it's madness. It's so bad. It's so bad. They mention the Dragonstorm being a threat over and over and over and over and over, and then don't even resolve it. Like, that's the level we're at. Nicol Bolas is out. You can't even tell by looking at the set. They're running around trying to do a million things, clearly don't care about their own story or world, because why would you worry about that when you go Final Fantasy, Avatar, Spider-Man, SpongeBob? Will you buy one on Taylor Swift's shoes? We made it smell like your feet so you degenerates can enjoy licking the cards. Like, that's where we're at with Magic the Gathering now. So ultimately, it's pretty frustrating to be a long-term lover of cardboard rectangles who just wants to have a good time. So, thanks for coming and hearing what I had to say, my friends. Listening to me complain. It is cathartic. They need to fix this. I will be doing a live stream over on my live stream channel tonight. You're welcome to come by and hang out. If you want to complain about this or you want to excitedly talk about what you got, anything, it's all good. Come have a good time. Thanks for being here. Big shout out to my patrons. You guys rule. And I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.